The Galactic Academy's Xenocultural Studies classroom fell silent as Professor Velthar's 4 eyes swept across the diverse assembly of students. Representatives from 17 different species sat in carefully arranged clusters, their various forms of breathing, clicking and humming, creating the usual symphony of interspecies coexistence. Today, the Altarian professor announced, his crystalline voice resonating through the chamber's translation matrix. We will explore the concept of dangerous recreational activities as practiced by your respective species. This will help us understand risk assessment, cultural values, and survival instincts across our galactic community. Zainab Hassan shifted in her human-designed chair, her dark eyes meeting those of Alex Chen, the only other human in the advanced xenocultural program. They exchanged a knowing glance. This assignment would inevitably become another opportunity for their classmates to marvel at human recklessness. The Zentaurian delegate went first, describing their species' practice of void dancing, a ritual where they would navigate asteroid fields using only magnetic field manipulation. The class murmured appreciatively at the technical skill required. Next, the Corvin student explained thermal surfing, where her people would ride the plasma currents of their homeworld's active volcanoes using specialized biosuits. Several students clicked their approval at the elegant fusion of technology and natural forces. When Professor Velthar's attention turned to the human section, Alex stood up first. His presentation covered extreme mountain climbing on Earth's highest peaks, complete with holographic displays of humans scaling impossible cliff faces in sub-zero temperatures. The class listened with polite interest, though Zainab noticed the subtle way their classmates' various appendages twitched, the universal sign of barely contained amusement at human foolishness. "Fascinating, Mr. Chen," Professor Velthar said. "And you, Ms. Hassan?" Zainab rose, her hijab catching the classroom's artificial light. "I'd like to demonstrate rather than just describe," she said calmly. A ripple of curiosity passed through the room. Demonstrations were allowed, but rarely attempted. Most dangerous activities couldn't be safely replicated in a classroom setting. "What do you need?" the professor asked, his academic curiosity overriding his caution. "Just Alex, a wall, and someone who's willing to throw sharp objects with lethal accuracy." The silence that followed was deafening. Even the hive mind collective's usual buzzing stopped. The Zelnigan student, whose species were renowned for their precision and had hands that could move faster than most eyes could track, spoke up. I volunteer," she said, her voice uncertain. "My people are skilled with projectiles." "Perfect," Zainab said. "Alex, would you mind standing against that wall?" Alex didn't hesitate. He'd known Zainab since their childhood in Dubai, where they'd both been raised in families that worked for the human colonial authority. If she was confident about something, he trusted her completely. "Wait," Professor Velthar interjected, his translator struggling with what seemed to be several simultaneous emotions. "What exactly are you planning to demonstrate?" "Knife throwing," Zainab explained as if it were the most natural thing in the galaxy. "It's a traditional human skill that requires absolute trust between participants. The thrower must have perfect accuracy, and the target must have perfect stillness and faith." The Corvin students' flame crests flickered nervously. "This seems unnecessarily lethal." "That's rather the point," Alex said, taking his position against the wall with his arms spread wide. "The danger is what makes it meaningful." Zainab turned to the Zelnigan. "I'll provide the knives. They're real, fully functional blades. You'll throw them as close to Alex as possible without hitting him. Can you do that?" The Zelnigan's 4 arms trembled slightly. Her species could calculate trajectory and impact points to 17 decimal places, but the psychological pressure of potentially killing a classmate was overwhelming. Yes, mathematically, yes." Zainab handed her 6 perfectly balanced throwing knives, actual steel blades that had been approved by Academy security for her cultural heritage presentation earlier in the semester. "Begin whenever you're ready," Zainab said, stepping aside. The first knife flew through the air with mechanical precision, embedding itself in the wall barely 2 centimeters from Alex's left shoulder. He didn't flinch. The second knife struck, near his right hip. Still, Alex remained perfectly motionless, his breathing steady and his expression calm. By the fourth knife, which landed close enough to his neck that it parted a few strands of his hair, the entire classroom was in stunned silence. The fifth knife struck between his legs, and the sixth landed directly above his head. Alex stepped away from the wall, brushing off imaginary dust. "Thank you," he said to the Zelnagan, whose precision had been flawless despite her obvious terror. Professor Velthar's voice was barely a whisper. "Why?" "Trust," Zainab said simply. "Humans engage in dangerous activities not just for the thrill, but to build and demonstrate absolute trust in each other. Alex trusted me to choose someone skilled enough not to kill him. I trusted the Zelnagan to overcome her fear and maintain her natural precision. She trusted herself to perform under impossible psychological pressure. But if any variable had been miscalculated," the Zentorian began, "then we would have dealt with the consequences," Alex interrupted. "That's what humans do. We take calculated risks because the alternative, living without trust, without faith in each other, isn't really living at all." The Corvin students' crests flickered thoughtfully. "So the danger isn't the point of the activity?" "No," Zainab said, collecting her knives. "The danger is just the catalyst. The point is proving that we can transcend our individual limitations through absolute faith in our bonds with others." Professor Velthar made several notes on his quantum tablet. "This explains much about human military tactics," he murmured. "Your species' tendency to attempt impossible victories, your willingness to sacrifice individual safety for group objectives, our willingness to trust each other completely," Alex corrected, "even when logic says we shouldn't." As the class ended and students filed out in their usual species groups, Zainab noticed something different. Several non-human students approached them, asking questions about human culture, human history, human philosophy. For the first time since arriving at the Galactic Academy, they weren't being seen as the galaxy's favorite catastrophe-prone species. They were being seen as something far more dangerous and far more valuable, a species that had weaponized trust itself.